Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another virtual book launch with Morgan James Publishing. And I am Jim Howard, the publisher for Morgan James. And today I am really excited because we've got an incredible author to introduce you to. We have with us today Brian Causey, and Brian is the author of Trading Gods, a Rationale for Faith. So, Brian, thank you for taking the time today to talk with us.
Yeah, great to speak with you, Jim. Looking forward to it.
I'm excited about this book. Is even back when we first started working together on the book and bringing out and publishing, I was excited from day one, just because of where the book comes from and what you're talking about. It comes from a very, I think, maybe an unexpected point of view. So, I mean, in reality, you're an investor who manages billions of dollars at a time. So why take that time to write a book about faith?
Yeah, I guess my entire education and professional background has been focused on finance and investing. And, I have the unique opportunity to work with some of the biggest pools of money in the world. So, why not write a book about investing, right? But, like you, I'm a human being and I have the same big questions that I struggle with. Questions about the origin of the world. What happens after I die? Is there a God? How do you live with meaning, value, and purpose? And so what I wanted to do is kind of take my analytical background and address some of those big questions of life. And, really the more I researched those big questions, the more I found that, placing Jesus at the center of my worldview was the only thing that brought light to those tough questions. And so, I ended up making a commitment of faith to put my life in his hands and made a trade. I'm a trader and, I made a trade to get rid of the God I had been following, the God of my own creation, where whatever I said, did, or thought was acceptable. And I was the center of the universe. I traded that garbage for the real God, so I could have a real relationship with him. I could have real hope and real redemption. And so, I wanted to capture that as part of my spiritual journey, because on my journey, I was really benefited by people that had approached these tough questions and really thought deeply about them. And so I wanted to capture that and sort of pay it forward to the next generation of skeptics and spiritual seekers like I was.
Amazing. And, so many of us, and yours is a very specific background in trading and finance and all of that, but all of us are on our own journey, and we all do that, don't we? We all put the things that we're most we know best, the things that we're active in, the things that we're seeking after, the things that we're trying to become. We end up putting that as the center of who we deem that God could be. But when we make that transition and figure out, if we plug in our relationship with Jesus and make that the forefront, everything else seems to make a lot more sense. So you're right. We all have that similar journey, and we all go through those change opportunities. So take me back to the beginning of maybe your journey, and what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I can take you right back to the beginning because it was a pinpoint in time. It was 6 a.m. on September 11th, 2001. The terrorist attacks just really shook me up. I was 24 at the time. My career was going great, tons of friends, and I was in the best shape of my life, and basically living as if I was invincible and I would never die. And it occurred to me that my life could be taken at any point. Yeah. And if it was taken back then, I didn't know the answers to life's biggest questions. I didn't know what would happen after I died. And so, so I felt like it was time to start researching that. And so the Sunday after 9/11 was the first time I really went to church. And I'm just so thankful that the church I went to, they weren't afraid of my tough questions. Wow. They had a huge library, and I just devoured that material because they had stuff on history of religion. They had stuff on between science and faith. They had interviews with brilliant scientists. And so I just devoured that material. And, while I was trying to answer my own really tough questions, 9/11 was also this pivotal moment in a new movement called New Atheism. Because what happened on 9/11, it ended up causing all of these really great thinkers to say, hey, if you're a religious believer, you're probably unscientific, you're probably not logical, and maybe the views you hold are going to be harmful to the world. And so I'm trying to answer my own questions, and I'm just sort of getting bombarded by these brilliant thinkers creating best-selling books that, you know, swept through the culture, swept through academia, and so this book is really kind of how I navigated through all of that.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be such a powerful tool for people who are going through maybe that transition now, because to be honest, yours was 9/11, but no matter when someone makes that decision, we can almost guarantee that there's going to be a bombardment from another side saying, hey, rethink this position, because that's natural, and that reflects the spiritual warfare that goes on between, you know, Christianity and the rest of the world. And I think your book lays out some things very clearly in your journey that others can align with and say, hey, you know, this is where I'm at, and I'm feeling the same things, and this is how I
Mm.
can overcome those challenges. And even I think, and maybe you found this, and I know this is a just an add-on question here, but you know, through answering those challenges, did you find that ultimately strengthened your relationship and brought you closer to the God that you're seeking?
Oh yeah, completely. And you know, I didn't want to have a flimsy faith that could just be tossed around like a wave in the ocean.
Yeah,
Now, I wanted a firm foundation based on, you know, reason and evidence, and that would be resilient. And so that's what I found is if I really looked at the toughest questions from the most brilliant minds out there, and I still believe what I believe, then I think that's such an encouragement.
absolutely, absolutely. So when someone reads your book, what do you hope that you leave? What's the message that you want to leave with your readers?
Yeah, yeah, I really wrote that book to the skeptic and to the spiritual seeker. I mean, this is the book I wish I had when I was 24 and 9/11 just hit. My hope is that, you know, they probably have the same questions I have, and that they would benefit from seeing how I navigated through all of that. How did I connect the dots? How did I follow the clues? Because I really feel like, you know, if there is a God, he probably left his fingerprints everywhere for people, the investigators and detectives that really want to find him. They can find him, is what I believe. And so, you know, to those readers, I want to say that, you know, there is a great case here. And this book is like essentially my good comprehensive case for why I believe what I believe. So I wrote it to them first, but you know, I also wrote it to the average Christian in the pew,
Mhm.
because all the polls would show that, you know, the average Christian is increasingly unsure about what they believe, and the things they do believe, why they believe it, they don't know. And so so I wanted to, I guess what I feel is like if they knew the intellectual rigor um, behind their faith and the strong foundation that's out there, they would be just greatly encouraged.
Mhm.
And they would also feel a lot more confident in having faith-based discussions with the skeptic and the spiritual seeker in their family, in their workplace. And so that's kind of how I end the book, is with some tips and strategies about how to go about having those conversations with the skeptic, and especially to do that with gentleness and respect.
Outstanding, outstanding. And we can all use some encouragement and strength and information to utilize in that area. And I challenge really anyone who's watching this video, you know, if you are a skeptic, a book like this is just going to give you a perspective to think about as you weigh out decisions. And it's okay to be skeptics. I think we're designed to be inquisitive and to challenge and to question. But when we find those answers, we have to be open enough to accept those answers as truth and be able to move in truth and light. And I challenge anyone who's watching this as a skeptic, get a copy of this book. It's available everywhere that you buy books. So grab a copy of this book, read it, question it, challenge it. Take Brian's challenge and see if you get some answers that you've been looking for. And if you are a Christian, this is a great book for you to have as well. Not only to answer some of the questions that linger in the back of your own mind, but also, as Brian said, to be able to have conversations, deeper conversations with those around you. So, Brian, thank you so much for putting this book together, and your heart. I think we can all feel that just in the conversation today, your heart for other people, and that's so powerful. So if someone is watching this right now and hearing our conversation, or maybe they've even got a copy of the book at this point, they're going through it, but they're wanting more. They're wanting to reach out to you or connect with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, best way is through my website. It's briancausey.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, but I look forward to reaching out or hearing from folks that have questions, and maybe we can work through things together.
Outstanding. Well, Brian, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. And thank you guys out there for watching. And I hope that you have heard something today that sparks an interest, even if it sparks a question, because once you start investigating, you'll find truth. So we hope that you take that opportunity, grab a copy of Trading Gods, A Rationale for Faith. And Brian, thank you again for joining us today.
Jim, great to speak with you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, everyone out there, take care, and we'll see you on our next one.